Greetings, fellow brothers in humanity. This is Clinton, and I'm going to talk a bit about this debate that went down between the Ortho Bros, Andrew Wilson and Jay Dyer, against Parker and some other fellow on the Piers Morgan Uncut show. And I thought it was hilarious, especially where Jay Dyer points out that they don't understand what basic debate terminology means. And clearly the atheists were very emotional. Parker, for instance, he felt out of place during this debate because he couldn't mute anyone. So the power was taken out of his hands, and you could see he was clearly irritated at Piers Morgan moderating and this discussion between the two groups. So my personal takeaway is that the Ortho Bros won. There's no way that you can come away from this debate thinking that the Ortho Bros didn't win it. And we're going to go into the comments to read in a bit, but I just want to play two parts of this discussion. So this is part one, which I thought was quite interesting.
Let's take you, for example. You're the reason, right? When I first talked to you, right, we were having a normal debate about, I think, morality. And then you randomly asked me, what's your, are you a homosexual?
So they asked him if he was a homosexual. Let's see how he responded.
And you were, right?
Down, right? And then
right?
also with,
but hang on, was I right though? Was I right?
I'm not homosexual.
So here he says he's not a homosexual, and I found this part quite interesting.
No, I'm married to a woman.
You said that you were bisexual.
So here's the problem with what he's saying. Bisexuality includes homosexuality, because a bisexual person is also attracted to someone of the same sex, i.e. homosexual attraction, and if they participate in sexual intercourse with that person, it is clearly homosexual activity which is taking place. But it also includes, for instance, sexual intercourse in a heterosexual manner, but the attraction is to both someone of the opposite and the same sex. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then let's get into the second part. So here Piers Morgan said something that I highly disagree with as a Catholic, because Piers Morgan claims to be a Catholic. Let's just listen to what he said.
I absolutely do not think homosexuality is a sin.
So he doesn't think homosexuality is a sin. According to the Catholic Church, homosexuality is a sin. And by him trying to justify it as a Catholic, he would actually incur automatic excommunication. So let's get into the comments. So reading the first comment, Parker hates debating without his TikTok mute button. Completely agree. I swear Piers does this purely for his own amusement. Look at his face. Yes, Piers was quite happy with the outcome. Here we read, Parker, it's okay to mock Christians and their beliefs. Also Parker, it's never okay to mock homosexuals and their beliefs. Completely agree with that. It's a double standard. It's very blatant. As a young person, I find people like Parker's behavior so nauseating, or to be nauseating. Completely agree with that. Rachel Wilson, Andrew's wife, HRT doesn't shrink your skeleton, Parker. So there was a point in the debate where Parker tried to have a bet with Piers, but he kept moving the goalpost, and I think Piers realized this. So he said that he'll bet Piers Morgan money that HRT doesn't give an advantage to people taking it before puberty. And unfortunately it doesn't diminish the size of their skeleton, because men's skeletons are more dense than female skeleton. And why this is important, say for instance you're playing a sport like football, or if you're playing a sport like boxing, a combat sport, it would give you a great advantage. You'd be able to have more endurance. Lung capacity, I also think wouldn't be so significantly impacted by HRT, but obviously it would impact your muscle mass and muscle density. So people taking HRT would still have an edge. Biological men taking HRT would still have an edge over biological women in sports. So moving on, Parker's reaction to Andrew saying he'd say the N-word in a comedic fashion to his white friends is the gayest thing I've ever seen so far this Pride Month. Yes, so fake outrage all around, especially because a lot of these white guys for Harris, they would say the N-word. They've been caught saying it many times during their streams. Jay Dyer says, thanks for having me. I will give him a like even though Jay Dyer challenged me to a debate, then blocked me afterwards when I said I was busy. Two extreme feminine dudes offended by everything versus two masculine dudes offended by nothing. Okay, why are you celebrating sin? Piers Morgan. If pride parades aren't sexualization, why is everyone basically naked, dressed in bondage clothing, etc.? Great point. This isn't even a debate, this is just entertainment. Well, I believe it could be both, right? It can be a debate, a discussion, and entertainment. Here we go. Yes, we as Christians are to love thy neighbor, those made in the image of God. We are to love them and pray for them. Nowhere does it say we are to accept them and or support and promote them. Completely agree. You cannot promote or support sin. Gaytheist, new terminology that I heard during this debate. The kids are a prime example of why Democrats spend $20 million to study how to appeal to real men. Yes, these kids are so insanely cocky for no reason. Got to agree with that one. So here's an interesting comment. Not understanding the literal famous argument that you can't get an ought from an is, and thinking you have any business being a debate arena might be the joke of the century. Yes, they didn't understand Jay's argument. Andrew and Jay Dyer. Piers, you are outstanding yourself now. We want more. Well, as a Catholic, I would prefer that they actually have more Catholic guests on, but clearly Jay Dyer and Andrew Wilson are quite entertaining. If they really wanted to get somebody on to discuss these things, they should really get Sam Shamoun, and I think that would be outrageous. Parker didn't even have his mute button. Okay, so I think that's enough, and we can see from the comments that clearly Jay Dyer and Andrew Wilson won in this debate.